So then, without further ado, let's get into the recap for yesterday. And the first thing he did was he brought us right up to date with what he said about last week. Now, if you remember back to last week, he said that he was expecting to have his own admin panel accessible to the ecosystem by Sunday. And he said he received this on time, on date, as expected on the Sunday. And he also said that the system is looking better than he expected. Now, I think it's fair to say that there might be when we get to see it, a few changes. It might feel and look slightly different, but as long as all our data and everything there is the same as what it was, I think we're pretty good to go. He also said we're in a much better position strategically than we were 5 or 10 months or even a year or so ago. I think this reading between the lines, guys, stems back to the problems that we all know have been happening over the last year with OnPassive. Obviously, September was the time that last year that we got going and things were going very smoothly. And then all of a sudden, the wheels started falling off the cart, metaphorically speaking. And I think a lot of what he's saying and was bringing us up to date was letting us know that certain things happened in certain areas that were out of his control. One thing that he is extremely mindful now of is bringing us details and information that he knows, not hearsay, not that somebody has said something that, for instance, let's give you the example in the scenario. He goes to one of his tech guys and says, when is this product ready in this stage? And they say it'll be ready in 2 weeks, right? He gets very excited about that. He comes back to us. He tells us the good news. What happens in 2 weeks? Not ready, is it? Because they've said something that they haven't delivered on. This has caught him out on several occasions. He actually said this in yesterday's 360, didn't it? He held his hands up and he said that he's been at fault a lot of the times because of this. But it is certainly a scenario that he's not going to go down again. And this is really good news for us. Why? Because it means that the information that he gives us clearly now, as far as timelines is concerned, is going to be a lot more accurate. There might be a day or so in between it all or that kind of thing, but it's certainly not going to be the weeks turning into months that we've seen in the past, because he's not going to tell us unless he knows it's actually going to be happening. And that was quite refreshing. And I do like that part about what is happening at the moment. He said, now, as of now, the best part is the fact that we have the talent to move us forward for the long term. Again, I certainly believe that this is between the lines reading that the new people that he has on board, and he talked about this last week, didn't he, of being in other multiple locations, expanding in other areas and almost decreasing in some of the areas that we know of. He is very, very happy, and you could see this very honestly, that he is very happy now with the talent that he has working on us moving forward. And this is obviously, which is something that is getting him very, very excited. It should do us as well. He said the right caliber, honesty, integrity of people is in place at the moment, and they are seamlessly bringing quality to us, and the next level is going to be achieved in record time. Now, how that's going to pan out, we should wait and see. But he also gave us the scenarios through yesterday, didn't he, of what he calls the next phase of OnPassive. And we'll discuss that in a moment as well. He said, but the bottom line is we've got this. We're not going anywhere. We're coming back much, much stronger, he said, and we really are going to be shocked about what we see. Just hang on 1 second. Okay. He also said it's no mystery that we have recovered the business and we are backed. Now, why is he bringing us up to date with that? Well, because we knew, because we've been part of it, when we lost access to our OES and all the other apps and everything to do with it, it's not a mystery, is it, that happens. Now, we haven't had the full details, obviously, of who was to blame, what happened, and etc. But the good news is, it says we've recovered everything and the business is now back. This is proof by him having access to the ecosystem now through his admin panel and the guys working on. Now, if you bring into the scenario of what he told us, not last time we saw him, not this 360, the one before, he said 7 days and onwards from him receiving that admin panel, there's a fair chance that we will have access to it as well. And I'm pretty sure that in the next coming days, we will get more updates from him of how that is progressing. He said, we're not just back, but we are now in a much better position than we were before. Now, if he's saying we're in a better position now than we were when the OES was active, this is obviously a good thing for all of us. It means that the people he has in place, he is very happy with, and the direction that OnPassive is going, he is very happy with as well. I mean, I am one of the first to sort of see and admit, talking to Jane, that some of the things that we saw happening in OnPassive through the last year or so to sort of did actually take us aback a little bit about why are we going in these kinds of directions when we don't really need to. And I'm convinced that he is going to let us know what happened in those areas. And he said it himself that we got off track, didn't he? He said he's not relying on what I have heard like I did in the past. Now I am seeing everything develop firsthand, and he really is impressed with what he is seeing. You will be able to check your account in a matter of days. This reverts back to what I was saying, that we will have access to our ecosystem once again. We'll be able to log in through the login panel and also check all of our data is intact. What is our data? It is, if you were one of the luckier ones to have money in your wallet, that will be intact. You'll be able to see any of the commissions that are there, plus your organization of your directs as well, and all of their information and details. All of that should be there. Now, it was interesting, wasn't it, that he was saying that this is just us getting going for the affiliates and founders and the customers once again. Why is it really important for us to have access to the ecosystem once more, even if that isn't what the next phase of OnPassive is going to be? Let me explain to you. All other applications that you see on the internet, including YouTube, which we're using now, and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, Instagram, all of these, it doesn't really matter which platform you are on. None of them are really that secure as far as who you're talking to, who you're dealing with, and all the rest of it. With the ecosystem, everybody within it will be verified. So we know that they are real people. And he wants to have a one access place that he can talk to everybody that is involved in OnPassive, whether they're a founder, whether they're an affiliate, or whether they are a customer. And the only area he can do that with confidence, knowing it's getting to the right people, is the ecosystem. This is why it is imperative and important that we make sure that we have now access once again to our ecosystem. So that's why this part is going to be opened first. Now, he has been saying for a very long time that this is just the start. It's not where we're going to be going, but we need to have that. He said we are close to the next phase of OnPassive, and we will do much in the existing OES, but this is just a funnel to take us to the next phase. Like I said, we need to focus on having people in the right area that are part of OnPassive so that they can access their accounts, and then we can inform people what the next stage is going to be in a very controlled manner. It's not going to be through hearsay. It's not going to be through Facebook, for me doing a live, Marty, Chris, anybody of the others. It's going to be in the right area so we know it is legitimately coming from the company. He said, we will give you a timeline for the next but best chapter of OnPassive. He says, if it is more than a couple of months, then we will get a plan for the transition to go to that. Now, why did he say this? It's something that might not happen. Now, if you remember back a couple of months, he was giving us scenarios A, B, and C. That then went to either A or B, which is what we are seeing right now. And that is coming, like he said. He's just basically putting a buffer in place. Now, I do know that there is going to be internal meetings within OnPassive to discuss the next phase of OnPassive. Obviously, that has to be done with heads of departments and other people, etc. And that has to be discussed of the best way forward for everybody in this next phase. And obviously, that is part of the scenario which he is talking about. It's not just about having the products and services in place to open up for the next phase. It's also a question of which direction we're all going to be going in as far as that next phase is concerned and how it's all going to be implemented. And I do know that he wants to have a few meetings with heads of departments, etc., to discuss all of that. A lot depends on the timeline to how that goes as far as the discussions is. So he's really just giving us a little bit of leeway as far as that is concerned. But even if the next phase of OnPassive doesn't happen for a couple of months, one thing is assured, and that is we will have access to the ecosystem, our accounts, and all of the other bits and pieces that we saw in there when it went before it went down a few months ago. It is more than and I've said all that as well, haven't I? Okay. Also, he said we are making a historical comeback. He said we will appreciate your input to share this buzz. He said, to be honest, I really am pretty impressed with what I've seen already. It really is going to make you speechless when you see it as well. He said about the buzz, he really does need our input. Now, myself and Marty and Chris have been saying for an awful long time now the importance of all you guys out there, the importance of the OnPassive community. We really are the forerunners of OnPassive. We are the early birds, adopters of OnPassive, and we are the ones that are going to benefit the most from OnPassive. And without our help, then this company won't get the exposure in those early days that it needs. So we all collectively will need to do our part when we get going again to get that buzz back. You know, when we had the buzz last September when things was really happening and all the rest of it, we need to replicate that and more when the doors open back up again. And that's what he's relying on us to do. And he's worked very hard on our behalf, hasn't he, over the last 4 or 5 months. Really is our turn now, isn't it, is to replicate and to give back to our CEO and company by doing our part when we're asked to do it. He also went on to say, if you believe in this concept and journey, stay close, but more importantly, pay attention. Why is he saying this? Saying this is because there's a lot going to be happening over the next few days. And it really is imperative that if you want to find out what's going on without having secondhand information, pay attention to us, pay attention to other people and the channels, and you will be brought back up to the situation. He said the first week of October, you will receive critical updates on the current situation of OnPassive. I kind of believe that is he's going to let us know a little bit more of what happened Don't quote me on it, but that's kind of my gut feeling. But also, more importantly, the timing of the next phase. So he's obviously very confident by the first week of October, which is only a week away, guys, he will know exactly what that timing for the next phase of OnPassive is going to be. So he then went on to say about our journey. He said, he gave us a really good insight of the journey. Now, for those of us that have been around OnPassive for the last 6 years or so, we know this, but there's an awful lot of people who have been involved in OnPassive over the years that, that don't really know and fully understand what has gone on over this journey. And he actually did miss quite a lot out. But to recap what he said we started off in July of 2018 with only having an Excel spreadsheet to organize the business. It didn't even have a name. It was only an idea. And that grew very quickly, really actually quicker than expected. And we started GoFounders back end of November and into December of 2018. That was brought in because we needed to have a environment where everybody could go to that could get information and all the rest of it. And GoFounders brought a very high level to the business, one platform, all in-house. And if for those of you can remember GoFounders, it really was exciting to see this platform in its glory and to have access to it. And then within a very short period of time, OFOUNDERS name came about. We also had other platforms and engineerings. We also opened up in various buildings, engineers, tech guys. Everybody was being employed, and we were expanding across the globe, in fact. And he said, unfortunately, there was a gap between his vision, timeline, and accomplishment and that of the people that were working on it at the time. Now, I'm sure this happens a lot in businesses where the owner of the business has an image and a vision and timeline of what he wants to accomplish for that business. People go, yeah, I understand what you mean. They go off, they do their thing, and it's not really in line with what the owner wanted. And even though we weren't sort of within the right timelines and accomplishments of what our CEO Ash Mufareh wanted, we still said that we got an awful lot done, but the quality and especially that timelines wasn't up to where he wanted it to be. This grew. This made us get a little bit chaotic in developing. We fell down different traps of trusting the wrong kind of people, and it caused a major breakdown, which we saw a year ago. And this really forced them to question an awful lot of goings on within the business. He also did say that we knew that this existing system would not work in its entirety as far as how the business was being run on the back end. He wasn't mentioning anything about the products and services. That, I think, he's been very, very happy with. Maybe not to the full extent of where he wants it to be, but as a working model, yes, I think he believes that they were good. But as far as the back end, that system wasn't working. So they were forced to stop the ship, in his words, and reflect on the direction that the OnPassive business was going in. As we know, this basically the doors were shut, okay, and they had to obviously take a big look at themselves and reevaluate of where the OnPassive business was going. And he said in the early phases, we knew that OnPassive was only the start. And he's always had in this vision, and he's said it on multiple times, hasn't he, that OnPassive is going to be a small part of his overall vision. What I think and feel that's coming now or next in the next phase is part of the next part of what the vision was going to be. And he said, after many conversations with experts about my vision, we attracted enough amazing talents to take us where we want to go to. This, I believe, is the next phase of OnPassive. He said, we are advancing to a level that really will blow your mind. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with you what is coming. It's much better than we originally thought. And we are so happy that we went through this reevaluation process when we did. He said, we will be reopen OnPassive very, very soon, so you can see and build your business once again. Now, I talked about this the other day, didn't I, about how OnPassive is your business. Ash Mufareh reiterated that yesterday by saying OnPassive is your business. Your position that you have as an affiliate in OnPassive is your own very little business, and you can utilize every single part of OnPassive to the benefit of building your business. OnPassive give us all of the tools, all of the platforms, all of the opportunity, but it really is up to us to build our own business. Are we going to have the total automated that we had before? Hands up, I have no idea. But one thing's for sure is that OnPassive is here to stay. OnPassive is here, and we are certainly moving forward. That's for sure. He said, tomorrow we will know if it's going to be a brief wrap-up of OnPassive or a longer sustained process of a couple of months. That is obviously going to be on the back of the meetings that he has with various heads of departments and other individuals. And I'm sure as soon as he knows where things are going, he will come back and let us know. He's eager to, guys. He really wants to tell us as much as he possibly can. And the sooner he can do that, I feel that it's going to be a big relief to him that he'll be able to divulge the information that he's had to keep close to his chest for a very, very long time. Anyway, guys, that's it from me for this recap.